Jakarta, the 29th of March, 2019. A page is waiting for signatures. The Statement of Responsibility for a National Airlines Annual Report. The year Garuda, Indonesia finally, after everything, made money again. 7 names are printed in the commissioner's row. And 2 of the men behind those names have already decided something that isn't on this page. 4 days after that date, they will sign a different document instead. A letter. No shareholder will ever hear it read aloud. Here's the number the page is protecting. A profit of $809,000. Against $4.4 billion in revenue, that's thinner than one long-haul fuel bill. But it's black ink. And here, black ink is a miracle. The miracle has exactly one source. A company you have never heard of, 11 months old, run from one office suite on the 9th floor of a Jakarta tower, promising more money than some airlines are worth. You have trusted a number like this one. Every record year you've ever read rests on the rule this airline is about to break. So here's what's coming. 1 invented profit, 3 regulators, 2 fallen chief executives, and a vintage motorcycle riding home in the belly of a brand new Airbus. This July, Indonesia's Supreme Court wrote the final word of the story this page began. One word, literally one. 2005, Garuda Indonesia is $845 million in debt, 4 times what its planes earned back in a good year, and about to be banned from European skies entirely. The man who takes the job calls it a $1 company. His name is Amir Shah Sattar. He's a banker, and he takes an 84% pay cut to do this, from 500 million rupiah a month at the bank to 80 at the airline. The press files that detail under integrity. Keep it filed. You'll want it later. What follows is the decade Indonesians still talk about. The Europe ban lifted. An IPO on the Jakarta exchange in February 2011 at 750 rupiah a share. New routes, new livery, and a shopping spree to match an island nation's ambitions. Fleets of small ATR turboprops and Bombardier regional jets to stitch 17,000 islands together. By December 2014, Skytrax hands Garuda the badge only 6 airlines on Earth held before it. 5 stars. The cabin crew are named the world's best, 4 years running. His creed, in his own words, don't let them fear us. They'll lose motivation and innovation. That same December at the peak, he resigns. Clean exit. The airline he leaves behind has a 5-star product, a 10-year shopping bill, and one problem that compounds quietly. Almost none of it has been paid for. The 5-star glow fades fast. 2014 closes $370 million in the red, the worst year in the airline's history to that point. 2017 loses another $216 million. The Golden Age debts are still on the books. The Golden Age revenue is not. That's our reading. The numbers permit no other. September 2018. Enter I Gusti Ngurah Askara Dahna Diputra. Everyone calls him Ahri Askara. 46. Banker's resume, Bank Mandiri, Deutsche Bank, Barclays, ANZ. And one credential that matters. He's done this before. As Garuda's finance director, he took a division bleeding $378 million and turned it to a $78 million profit inside a year. Real numbers, real turnaround. The mandate, loss under 100 million. The clock says 4 months. On the 31st of October, 2018, a contract is signed. The counterparty is Mahahata, incorporated 11 months earlier. Paid up capital 10.5 billion rupiah, about $750,000, less than the cost of fitting Wi-Fi to a single wide-body. Registered office, Unit F, 9th floor, 1 tower in Jakarta's financial district. The deal, Mahata installs and operates Wi-Fi in an entertainment across more than 200 aircraft of the Garuda Group and pays Garuda $239.94 million over 15 years for the privilege. Passengers surf free. Garuda spends, in management's own words, nothing. Now, to be fair, in-flight Wi-Fi deals were a real industry wave, and Mahata named real technology partners Inmarsat, Lufthansa Systems. The idea was not absurd. The accounting is about to be. In January, one CityLink Airbus takes off with working Wi-Fi. The first of 203. There will never be a second. 2 days before Christmas, Ari Askara tells reporters the year will close in the black. He calls it, modestly, a meager profit. April 1st, 2019, the filing lands. Net profit attributable to owners, $809,846. The State Enterprises Minister celebrates nearly 100 billion rupiah of profit, she says, from a company that lost 3 trillion the year before. Now watch the machine underneath. Of the $240 million Mahata promised over 15 years, the amount that has actually arrived is 6.8 million, under 3 cents of every promised dollar. The other 233 million sits in the accounts as a receivable, an IOU from the startup on the 9th floor, and the entire 15-year promise is recognized as income in 1 year. This year, here's the whole scandal in one picture. The Mahata booking is 296 times the size of the profit it created. 296. Take that one contract out and the celebrated year collapses into a $245 million loss. The profit bar next to the phantom bar? You can't see it. The rule this bends is PS Act 23, Indonesia's revenue recognition standard. In one sentence, you book revenue when you can actually expect to collect it, and collecting needs a payer who can pay. Mahata's entire capital could not buy the Wi-Fi hardware for the planes it promised to wire. Now, to be fair, revenue recognition has judgment in it. Reasonable accountants argue timing, and Garuda's auditors, a member firm of the global BDO network, signed this annual report with a clean opinion. Unqualified. In the trade's Indonesian phrase, wajar tanpa pengecualian, every director signed the page. And on the 2nd of April, 2 men in the commissioner's row picked up a different pen. The letter is dated April 2nd. 2 commissioners, Kai Rahul Tahan Jung, younger brother of the billionaire whose group holds 28% of this airline, and no, they are not the same man, and Doni Oscaria. Their objection, in substance, the Mahata money is not revenue under PSAK 23, and we will not sign a report that says it is. The letter's full text has never been published. What happened to it has. April 24th, the annual shareholders meeting, Kai Rahul Tanjung asks on the record for the objection to be read aloud to the room. The chair declines. It can sit in the report as an appendix. The meeting approves the annual report and moves on. Outside to the press, Cheryl is careful. We have no problem. Garuda's business is actually fine. We only object to that one transaction. One transaction, the one holding up the entire year. The next morning, the stock falls 4.4%. A one-day verdict from people who read footnotes. Management doesn't blink. The finance director stands on the standard. The technical director explains the deal's beauty on camera. Mahata plants the investment, installs the Wi-Fi. Garuda pays nothing. Remember the man saying that. Not everyone cheers the rebels either. The employees' union scolds them publicly. Boards have rooms for this. Don't talk outside. In the end, it lands on us. We earn our living here. Fair point, honestly held. Parliament wants hearings. The exchange summons management and the auditor behind closed doors for exactly 1 hour. Findings to be posted later, quietly. By June, 3 separate arms of the Indonesian state are reading the same Wi-Fi contract, line by line. June. The State Audit Board finds violations and recommends unwinding the deal. On the 27th, the Finance Ministry signs the auditor's suspension. Kusner C. Rumapaya, the partner behind the clean opinion, loses his license for a full 12 months. June 28th, Indonesia's financial regulator, the OJK, publishes the full bill. Restate within 14 days. 100 million rupiah on the company, then 100 million more on each director, personally by name. And one more penalty. Its wording is the whole episode. A joint fine on the directors and commissioners. Quote, who signed the annual report? Who signed? Kairal Tanjung and Doni Oskaria refused. So the fine that punishes the board skips them entirely. The signature they withheld is the penalty they never paid. Refusing was free. Signing cost money. Count the latter with me. You'll want the order. The company fined. Then every single director of the airline, personally. Then the Indonesia Stock Exchange piles a 250 million rupiah on top. Then the auditor's license gone. And worst of all, the profit itself is taken away. July 26th. On its own letterhead, Garuda restates the audited year. The $809,000 profit is now a $175 million loss. A fifth of shareholder equity gone in an afternoon's paperwork. The restated accounts get a clean opinion too, by the way. Same numbers Garuda fought for, now inverted. And the audit firm keeps its license while its partner sits out a year. The clean opinion, it turns out, was price per signature. The Mahata contract dies the same month. Final Wi-Fi count. 1 aircraft of a promised 203. And here's the part you should sit with. For the booking itself, nobody in this story is ever charged with a crime. The law used is administrative. 100 million rupiah a head. Roughly 1 business class return to Toulouse. Toulouse is exactly where Garuda's newest aircraft is waiting. And its cargo hold is about to end, a career the restatement could not. November 2019, Airbus delivery flight 9721, a factory-fresh A330-900 Neo. Garuda's newest wide-body, flying Toulouse to Jakarta with 22 people aboard. 4 of them are directors. 1 is the chief executive's wife. The cabin crew union will later say what everyone was thinking. Aircraft deliveries involve crews and technicians, not executive spouses. On arrival, customs officers open the hold. 18 boxes, tagged like ordinary baggage, under 2 sets of initials that belong to no director. Inside a 1972 Harley-Davidson Electra Glide. The classic, the shovelhead, disassembled down to parts, plus 2 folding Brompton bicycles, still new. On 1 crate, a shipping label. You can read it on camera, CGK GA9721, the fake Profit Airline's own flight number, riding on the contraband. A cover story appears. An employee with 30 million rupiah of bank debt and no known interest in motorcycles says he bought the Harley himself on eBay. Customs goes looking for the seller. Nobody finds one. The real trail. An order hunted since 2018, paid in April 2019 through a Garuda finance manager's personal account in Amsterdam. April. The same month, 2 commissioners were refusing to sign a fairy tale. 8 days after customs cracked the crates, quietly, the airline throws the same aircraft a public unveiling. Ambassadors, Ari Askara, presents the plane, smiling, while the evidence sits impounded. December 5th, Finance Ministry podium. The Harley are reassembled, gleaming, is the centerpiece of a government press conference. Finance Minister Sri Mulyani prices the evaded duty 532 million to 1.5 billion rupiah, $100,000 at the very top end. Set against the aircraft that carried it, 0.04%. Then the State Enterprises Minister Erick Thohir live on national television. Saya ingin memberhentikan Saudara Dirut Garuda. I want to dismiss the Garuda CEO.
BUMN tentu akan memberhentikan Saudara Direktur Utama Garuda.
The man who survived a $250 million phantom falls to a motorcycle tax. And on the passenger list of that delivery flight, the technical director who sold the country on zero-cost Wi-Fi. He's convicted alongside his boss and fined 50 million rupiah. Askara's own case ends in 2021. Guilty, 1 year, probationary, plus a 300 million rupiah fine. He never serves a day. Prosecutors then withdraw their own appeal, leaving the sentence final. That's the record. We read it to you as written. The customs case closed the file on one chief executive. In a London courtroom 2 years earlier, a very different file had been opened on another. 3 stories now run at once. A restated miracle, a chief executive on probation over a motorcycle, and one more thread in the oldest. Pull it. January 17th, 2017. London. Rolls-Royce settles the biggest bribery case in British corporate history, and the court-approved statement of facts describes an intermediary bribing Garuda Indonesia employees over Trent engine deals through 2011 and 2012. Read those years again. The 5-star years. The golden age this whole airline spent a decade trying to get back to was in part procured. 2 days later, Indonesia's Anti-Corruption Commission, the KPK, names Amir Shah Sattar a suspect. His answer the next day, word for word, "To my knowledge, during my time as Garuda's CEO, I never committed corrupt acts or accepted anything related to my position." August 2019, the orange detention vest. Leaving the KPK building, cuffed, he offers reporters 5 words. "Ask my lawyer." Beside him, the intermediary, a Jakarta media and nightlife mogul, smiles and asks for prayers. May 2020, guilty, 8 years. 49.3 billion rupiah in bribes. $3.5 million paid in rupiah, dollars, euros, and Singapore dollars, plus money laundering roughly twice that size. And the court, reaching for mitigation, cites his service building Garuda's international prestige. Sit with that. The prestige the bribes bought softened the sentence for the bribes. Then the second case, and it's the fleet itself. Those ATR turboprops and bombardier jets from the Golden Age shopping spree, prosecutors put the state's loss at $609 million, more money than the airline's entire IPO raised. 5 years at trial becomes 10 on appeal. To be fair to the record, the intermediary is acquitted in this second case, fully, finally, and Amirja's lawyers build his last stand on exactly that contradiction. Same facts, they argue. Different verdicts, double jeopardy. From a cell in Sukamiskin, the prison Indonesia reserves for its corruption convicts, he swears in new evidence. A letter hand-delivered to the prison, certifying his first case's debts fully paid. July 22, 2026, the Supreme Court of Indonesia answers his final review. The operative word of the ruling, in full, tolak, reject. 10 years stand. So does 817 billion rupiah of restitution, about half what the airline lost in the fake profit year. His lawyer still argues the principle. As we publish, the collection of that money remains unresolved. The airline, meanwhile, nearly died anyway. COVID took it to a $2.4 billion loss in a single year, then into a court-supervised restructuring against nearly 200 trillion rupiah of claims from more than 800 creditors. The stock that listed at 750 rupiah trades this week near 54. Down 93% across 15 years. Skytrax quietly took the 5th star back this year, and Ari Ahaskara, as of January, runs a shipping company. In 2019, the year after the restatement, Garuda reported a small profit again, $6.99 million, and nobody threw a party. Go back to the page. It still says what it always said. Jakarta, March 29th. 7 names, 1 declaration. Everything in this report is complete and true. The 2 names that mattered sat on a different document, dated 4 days later. The one the room refused to hear. So the next time a company you own shows you a miracle year, don't read the number. Read who signed it, then find out who wouldn't. This is the record as of August 5th, 2026.